How's it? This is Insight Advisor video 2. In the first Insight Advisor video, I showed you how when we take data and drop it into Qlik Sense, we start talking to that data, we're effectively forced to use the words of the data. So in other words, the column headings or the field names that are inside that data source. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to show you Insight Advisor as it works in a more of a production type app. So as you can see, we've got an app. It's a pretty normal app, got a bunch of sheets inside of it. It has some unusual stuff in, so it has some of this sort of presentation type technology built into it, which makes it a bit unusual, but the majority of the app is a normal analytics app. So we'd go and have a look at the sales this year versus last year. If we look at January and February, that gives us a little bit of a more sort of happy picture where we're doing a bit better than we did last year, and we've got some products that are doing well, some that aren't doing so well, and of course the business user can click over here and say that's great. Let's understand a little bit more about baking goods. And if I change to the next sheet, of course, I can see even more details. And one hopes that in this set of sheets, it's going to answer the question. And of course, for a lot of people, having this rich set of guided analytics is great, but it can be a bit daunting at times. And so, of course, being able to partner the guided analytics with the ability to talk to the data can be very useful. And of course, that's where Insight Advisor comes in. So I'm going to open up Insight Advisor and clear the selections. And you'll notice it's very much the same as the first sheet we had. There's a bunch of things that we can build if we wanted to do our own custom dashboard. But what we really want to do is start talking to the data. And of course, I've been testing a few things here. I just want to click on this guy here, which is where is there a correlation between the sales and the margin percentage by sales rep last year? And of course, the same thing has happened. The sentence has been deconstructed, and the analysis has been done. And of course, we can see here that Carl is certainly a little bit on the outstanding side in terms of that correlation. And of course, we can see that the date range has been selected and that the language understands this concept of last year. And what's happened is that you can see on the left-hand side, there are no fields. So what I've done is I've actually, because I'm a professional developer and I've finished building my dashboard, what I've done is I've gone in and I've removed the unnecessary words so that the business user doesn't get confused by a bunch of technology that's sitting in the data and not the actual words of the business that's going on in the app that we've built. Of course, there are master items, plenty of those on display here. And of course, these are the things that allow us to actually talk in normal business terms to the data. So if we have a look and let's try asking something a little different here. We're going to say, what is the average margin? And of course, as I start typing margin, you'll see that these pop up here. So I can say, what's the average margin percentage? Because that's what I'm interested in for beverages. And now we switching tack a little bit here. What's happening, of course, is that it's not just looking at the dimensions and the measures that we've got going, but it's now actually looking inside the data. So of course, we're expecting our business users to talk to the data or to the app through yes, terms in terms of sales, margin percentage, but also with the actual data that's sitting inside there. So I can see that I want to look at beverages and I'd like to look at snack foods. So I'm going to click on snack foods over here. And I'm going to do this by city for last year. And let's see what this guy goes and does. So he goes and obviously deconstructs this, pulls out the analytics for us, and shows us this information. And of course, just as before, I could add this to a new sheet. If I wanted to make a custom dashboard, then I could certainly do that. And as we can see, all of that information is packaged neatly for us to be able to understand how we're working. So I think in video one, I spent a bit of time going through the natural language side of things. This video, I really wanted to show you the type of thing that you do in a production app, working with normal words, I think, for the business user. And then also, how did I do this? So as a developer, what did I have to do? So let me take you and show you this. What I did over here was I went in through the interface into the logical model. And in the logical model, I worked with this interface to effectively basically just remove the noise really from the app. So let's go and have a look at the original app. Here's the original app. If I go from here into the logical model, what it's going to say to me is, listen, if you decide to take over the logical semantic understanding of your data model and your fields and your measures, then any new changes that you do, you're going to have to come back into this interface and work with it. Now, if we say continue, what you'll see is that Qlik will now show us all the things that it has done. So let's have a look if we can see the difference between the two. So I've got 29 visible, 21 hidden. You can see that there's a lot more visible here. If I go and click on this, what you'll see is that the semantic processing effectively is going through and trying to make some logically sensible decisions. So in other words, hiding IDs, showing names. That's the sort of thing that it's doing in terms of this visibility. But what it's done is it's built this up based on tables and the fields that are contained in them. So it does that, and that's obviously very logical if you are just doing an exploratory exercise and you're not intending really to create your dimensions and your measures. So if you go ahead and create dimensions and measures, then what happens is you end up with a very I would say it's an over-rich semantic understanding of your data model, and things are repeated. So I have a product master up here, but I'll also have in the dimensions, but I'll also have it sitting up here in the actual fields as well. So really, all I did was a very simple thing. As I went in and I literally just went to say, listen, all the table and field combinations here are all hidden. I don't want the Insight Advisor to use these nor expose them to the business user. So I've hidden them away, and I want you to focus on basically on my master items. Now, by focusing on the master items, obviously I am very much more in control of the names and the words that I use. And so hopefully these have been written for business people to easily understand. And secondly to that, of course, you will have master items that are absolutely useful for conversation. You'll also have master items like this drill down, which are not really that useful. So therefore I've hidden that away. Now, equally, especially when you're looking at dimensions, the question is, do you want to be able to converse in the actual data that's sitting inside those dimensions? And so here you decide whether you want to do data lookups. So I'm saying, no, I don't want to look up the customer number. I don't think my business users are going to be asking questions around the customer number, but certainly I'll want to have my customer name in there. So that's effectively what I've done. If you have a look further on the measures as well, you'll see that again, I've got some measures that are hidden and some that are visible. So what I've done is I've taken the straightforward measures. When I say straightforward, I mean there's no specific technical coding inside of this. So in our best practice, we kind of build measures that are specifically to show this year versus last year. So for example, this actual current versus the previous year. Those are not really useful to Insight Advisor. So what we do with those is we basically hide those away and say, listen, we're not going to talk about those things. We're going to be talking about, general sales or cost margins rather than margins, actual current versus actual previous year, and so on. So I think those are pretty straightforward to do. And then what I did have is in the master items, I had the order date was my main focus. You'll see I have another date here, this promised delivery date, which I've kept as hidden, and that's focused me. Now that is all that I did. I did not see a need to create any packages or any groups or do any behaviors or calendar periods. So it's a very quick thing to set up your app to really assist the business people to understand what's going on. Um, the hierarchies, behaviors, and calendar periods are quite sophisticated in what they can do, and I've got to do a bit more research on those things. But I think what I've shown you today really gets you a long way to ensuring that your business users will be able to come into an app, and when they decided that they're not 100% sure what they should be doing with a particular app, they can go to the Insight Advisor and basically just start asking questions to analyze the data. I hope that was useful, and we'll see you next time.